All right, here we go.
We are live. And then let me see if I can get you the link to share out.
Oh, nice, I got it.
You got the link?
Yeah, it's trippy. I'm looking at my phone, and it's me looking at it from the screen. All right, let's tweet this bad boy out. Yeah, we are live. Join us. Hell yeah! All right.
Very good. You want to give it a minute, or you just want to go for it?
Yeah, having a little cold open. What have you been watching this week?
What have I been watching this week? Peacemaker tonight. It's the only good show this year. What a just a really disappointing TV or good
I
movie
do want to
year.
see Task.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch Task. We'll
Yeah,
give that a go. But yeah, Black Bag last night. It's really all I've watched this week, and I love that movie. It's just I think you'll really enjoy that one. I think it'll be one of your favorites of the year. Just an easy watch. Soderbergh doing his thing, very much in his bag. Feels very Soderbergh. Like at one point the music hits, and you're like, "Ah, this is Ocean's 11 adjacent." I love it.
oh, that's delightful. Yeah, I need to see that. I need to see Weapons. Those are like the two that are top of my list right now.
Weapons, Weapons is gonna change your life, man.
You know I'm a Kreger guy.
Oh yeah, you're gonna love it. You're going to love it, sir. They finally did on the big picture. Got CR's take on it, which I needed to hear. All right,
Oh, some of
Gen
oh,
V.
Michael
Hmm,
said I haven't
Michael.
seen Gen V.
It's not bad. I watched the first season. It's pretty good. That just kicked off too. Yeah, I
Yeah,
should probably. I'll probably watch it. I mean, they just really messed up with all the shows that we like taking a break this year.
yeah.
Like
It's
no Thrones, the boys. Like,
and like next year we get the boys, we get Double Thrones shows. Like it's gonna be
mhm.
almost
It's gonna be a
overwhelming.
big. I know it's gonna be too much TV next year. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
this year was a weak TV year.
All right, you want to get
All
into it?
right, let's get into it.
Yeah.
All right, welcome to Out of the Blue from the Block M Podcast Network, part of the Fan First Sports Network, the podcast that built the Eiffel Tower out of metal and brawn. I am Jared Storm of the Block M Podcast Network. With me, as always, is Andy Bailey, my hetero life mate of the same place and time. Andy Bailey, some have called him the Tywin Lannister of his local Costco, ruling with an iron fist over legions of shoppers. How the hell are you, sir?
The lion does not concern himself with the opinion of the Costco sheep. I am well, man. How are you?
Great, man. The week has flown by, and all the better for me. I am eager to get to this weekend of college football. A lot of big ones. Obviously, Michigan, Nebraska will be the crux of this podcast, and we will go in depth talking about that game. But just in general, man, like the deeper you get into this thing, it starts feeling more and more real. Those early seasons, we're feeling it out. Teams are kind of getting their feet underneath them, but like we're firmly in the season now.
It's like you're getting in the swing of things, like you're getting in the mix of recapping one game, moving into the next game. It's going to be a little weird and disconnecting next week with the bye week, but I think we both have bye week plans to at least make it go by fast. We have a great slate of college games as well, but these are the good times, man. I keep telling myself that even when the team is struggling, it's like we are going to be begging for this time, like come next summer. So it's I've got to enjoy it while we have it.
Oh yeah, July 1st of next summer when we're just like scratching at our necks feverishly, just begging for any type of football
Watching
content.
UFL tape.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, we're in the Lord's warm embrace now. I'm not going to complain about having a lot of podcasts to do, a lot of games to watch. I will be not moving from my television this Saturday. This is the
No.
last Saturday I've got for a while without like a lot of plans going on. So really looking forward to it. We're going to talk Michigan, Nebraska. We've got some thoughts. This is the next big measuring stick game. Before we do, let's touch the banner. Wanted to touch on this one as we are both pro Kirk Ferentz on this podcast, more or less.
Yeah.
But I would say, yeah, more pro than not. But with his 206th win last week, moves him past Woody Hayes for the most wins in Big Ten football history. Just kind of quietly crept up on that record. Been at Iowa since 1999. He's been incredibly successful there. It's easy to forget because sometimes they're the butt of some jokes about the offense and things like that. But let it not be said that this dude can win, and it's so rare to see people stick around for that long. So I think it should be commended.
Yeah, he's been at Iowa since the Clinton administration. Like Just put it in those kind of terms. It's awesome, man. I love Kirk Ferentz. I love that there's another record taken away from a Buckeye. That always makes me smile as well. But you and I have been defenders of coaches like this, kind of like he or the PJ Fleck, because they just bring consistent winning to these. I don't want to say mid-major, but like a step below blue blood programs traditionally, like the Minnesotas, the Iowas, and they find ways to win. And there's something to be said for that. Like winners win, they get it done consistently. They do it their own way. It may not always be flashy or sexy, but it's consistent.
And yeah, I mean, this is the team that uses the punt as a weapon. Punting and defense are true art forms there
Yeah.
in Iowa, and I respect the hell out of it. They are their own entity. They've never hurt us really, other than 2016. That one
Yeah.
still hurts. They have hurt us, but I'm saying their fan base seems like a nice group of people. I have
Oh,
no
man,
ill
yeah.
will towards the Iowans. Iowans.
Iowans.
Yeah, that sounds right. Keep it pushing here. The NCAA Administrative Committee on Wednesday adopted a proposal to eliminate the spring transfer portal window, something we had reported on or mentioned at least being a possibility. It's official now. They're moving away from the previous two-window system that allowed players to submit their names in the portal over 30 days across the winter and spring. So initial proposals from the FBS have the winter portal opening on January 2nd, closing on January 11th, which is dumb. But the committee will continue to discuss the timing and length of the new window based on student athlete feedback. So still time to do the right thing and change that window until after all the games have wrapped.
I want to say it's a step forward, but it feels more like a step like kind of to the left. Like we're just kind of going this direction. Like I guess we're kind of closer to where we want to be. We get rid of one window. I wish they would just keep the spring one and not have one during the playoff system. It's very weird. Just imagine the NFL free agency instead of being in the offseason. They're like, you know what? During the playoffs, that's when we're going to have free agency.
That's a very good comp. And how dumb would that be perceived? Well, it's
Um,
equally as dumb here. Yeah. I mean, the college basketball only has one window, and they seem to not have these kinds of issues with the basketball window. It makes sense, and it's not just a free for all like it's been in college. So hopefully the fact that they're looking for feedback from student athletes leads them to the right decision, and you make it something like, I don't know, February 1st to February 11th. We don't got
that
anything
sounds
going on.
hell, February 1st to March 1st. Nice big
Yeah, who
month window
cares?
for you.
Yeah, you take all the time you need. Not much else going on college football wise, then. We've got other things to distract us. So, other than that, I didn't really have much news, sir. Anything you wanted to touch on? We got some injury notifications from John Jansen when he talked to Biff Poggi. It sounds like no Gio El Hadi. Brady Norton could be available there. Rod Moore should start. Kind of
Mm.
heard that last week, though. We'll see with Rod Moore. They're
Rod
saying they
watch.
expect him.
It's Panda watch.
Rod watch. Yeah. So nothing too official. I imagine like a lot of those people that were on last week's that weren't on week ones, they'll probably be available. It was a pretty deep, pretty lengthy list of individuals that were injured last week. So hopefully some folks that are kind of on the fence are able to go against Nebraska.
Yeah, I'd like to see like Zeke Berry back, Mason Curtis back for depth as well. Those would be welcomed additions, but we know for sure no Geo.
No Geo, which is a bummer. I mean, this is a game where we're about to get into it right now. Their front four on defense, not the biggest. A lot of guys under 300 pounds. We're having Geo there to really just be a people mover would be nice. So he'll be missed. He's been missed up to this point, but getting some great reps for some guys behind him, in particular Jake Guaranara. So that's enough foreplay, brother. I think it's time we get into this here. I think we got to talk some Michigan, Nebraska. Shout out to we got some folks in the chat here. Titirion himself, a righteous man. Kellen, always a friend of the pod. We'll be having you on to talk basketball sooner than you think, brother. It's not too far around the corner. I'm already getting excited. Oh yeah, we did have Quinn Costello from Boston, 6'10" power forward commit. I think that was yesterday, and a Costello from Boston.
Like
Come on now.
Oh God, we have so much potential for the departed jokes. Like as soon as you texted me that we have a Costello from Boston, I was like 2 weeks with pay.
With pay.
Pulling obscure lines from that movie.
I can't wait to watch The Departed tonight and come to this podcast on Monday with just nothing but Frank Costello lines. Fortunately, most of them are incredibly upsetting and inappropriate. I don't know how many we can quote. A pretty awful character that he plays in The Departed, but hell of a picture.
Kellen says the Costello is a dog too, so this is joyous news. Hopefully he's not an FBI informant.
Yeah. Sick of having them on my team. I'm over it. I'm ready to talk about Nebraska, man. I'm so excited for this one. The next big measuring stick game in Lincoln this Saturday, 3:30 Eastern time kickoff, which is joyous. Don't have to wait around. I'll take the 1:30 Mountain Time kick. That's fine. Just don't make me wait around until freaking 7 o'clock at night waiting for this game, and give them the energy of that stadium. I think this is right on par with the stadium environment with Oklahoma. So next big test for Bryce, for a lot of these younger players going in there and see how they handle this environment. No Sharon Moore in this one. It'll be Biff Poggi for game 2 of the Sharon Moore suspension. Let's start here. Big picture, 30,000-foot view. Nebraska's lost 27 straight games against AP top 25 opponents dating back to 2017.
Jesus.
They haven't beat a ranked Big Ten team since 2015. So all the narratives around this game are surrounding how it's Nebraska's time. Dylan Raiola, the Timu Mahomes is going to take them over the top. But at the end of the day, these two teams are going to roll out there with football players and play a football game. I don't care about the narratives surrounding it. I care about what's going to match up when the rubber meets the road. And very interested to talk about that with you today.
Some of the talk about Nebraska early in the season reminds me of the Maryland talk with Talia when he was at Maryland, and they begin the year like 3-0. They would smoke some crap teams like 70-0. Hey man, Maryland is back. It's like early 2000s ACC Maryland. They're coming. They're ready. And then they lose 5 straight games.
Right.
Like that's kind of what it feels like. It's not to that degree. I think they're a better team than that. But lest we forget those Maryland teams, I believe in like 21, 22, won like 7 games, at least in 22, 23, I'm pretty sure, and won a bowl game. So like it feels kind of on track with that.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Nebraska has started the season 3-0, but some context here. Not all 3-0s are created equally, and this is the cupcake schedule of all cupcake schedules. The only game that we can even use, like the tape on, that's even usable is the Cincinnati game, which was on a neutral site in Kansas City week 1. That was 100% a home game. I mean, that might have been more raucous than their home games in Arrowhead, and they barely came out on top against Cincinnati, who missed a bowl game last year. 5-7 Cincinnati team who's not very good. They then went on to play arguably the worst team in football, Akron, followed by a program called Houston Christian, which I've been watching football for 27 years. I had never heard of. I figured they were from Houston, but other than that, that's about all I knew about them. So this has been just an atrocious schedule, and people trying to tell me what this Nebraska team is based on that schedule and how much they've improved. I'm not buying that.
Well, everyone keeps talking about it's the year 3 Matt Rule bump. Like, I mean, traditionally you look at Temple and his time at Baylor, like this is the year they really jump up in the double-digit wins. But I've kind of soured on Matt Rule. And there's some chat going on, some comments in the chat right now that I want to discuss. Where are you? Where are you with Matt Rule and his podcast that's not politically correct and how he's going to tell it like it is? Have you tuned in yet?
No, I hear enough slurs in my day to day. I don't need to tune into what do you mean? What are you trying to get at, Matt Rule? Don't you have a team you need to be coaching? I'm anti. I was pro Matt Rule, and then he opened his mouth and started talking.
Well,
like
he
was
blamed
talking about
sign stealing on a 52-7 loss. Like
I know, on a 52-7 beat down. Yeah, like brother, I'm sure that sounds better on your CV, but we live in the real world, and that's just not what happened there. So the fact that he also has Dylan Raiola, who, look, I try not to hate on the players too much, but I hate on that one. I don't like that one. I'm a big fan of authenticity, and the amount of inauthenticity coming from Dylan Raiola. It irks me. It rubs me the wrong way. It is neither hot nor cold, so I have spat him out.
I mean, he makes Jason Tatum seem authentic and likable. Like that's how bad Dylan Raiola is as he's cosplaying as Patrick Mahomes. But let's go and dive into Nebraska a little bit offensively. It's the Dylan Raiola show. That's how they're going to run. That's how it was last year. They're better this season, though, in terms of putting the weight of the program on his shoulders. OC Dana Holgerson, who was taken off the couch last year and inserted onto the staff in November, is now the play caller. Their former OC, Satterfield, I believe, has just been cucked and is like a position coach on the team, but he's still on the staff. It's a little strange situation there, but I digress. But Holgerson's done a nice job with Raiola this year. He gives them a lot of like 3-by-1 and empty formations, pre-snap to give them a cleaner picture so they're harder to disguise, and a lot of easy throws, hitches, slants, and especially if like safeties or corners are playing off, he does a good job of just taking the easy throws. Just take the easy cheese right there and move the sticks. Like you'll see the numbers, it looks like he's pushing the ball downfield, but if you watch the Cincinnati game, it's a lot of stuff close to the line and just a little bit beyond.
Like we said, the Cincinnati game, the only usable tape, pretty much the only one we're going to reference here, but his statistics on the year, completing almost 80% of his passes, 19 touchdowns. This offense is putting up 49 points per game. On paper, it looks great, but like you said, only 20 points against Cincinnati, and then the other two. I'm pretty sure Houston Christian ran like a pregnant woman onto the field at one point, because that was just like, and that was just who they had on their sidelines. And I was like, is that legal? That's not safe. Worried about the fetus. But they're averaging 545 yards per game. It certainly appears to be an offense that's ticking up, and I'm willing to buy that. Year 2 of Holgerson, like you mentioned, year 2 of Raiola, who last year had a tendency to make a lot of mistakes, hasn't thrown a pick yet this year. So yeah, I'll buy that this offense is the better unit for Nebraska, and if they want to win, it's going to be through their passing offense. But a statistic that I found here, Dylan Raiola so far in his career versus unranked opponents, completing around 70% of his passes, 7.5 yards per attempt, and his interception rate 1.5%. Versus ranked opponents, the passer efficiency drops dramatically. The completion rate drops to 65%, 65.5%. Yards per attempt goes from 7.5 to 6.2, and the interception rate jumps way up to 4.5%. So this is a huge, huge jump in competition for Raiola. I'm always looking out for that when you go from the Akrons and the Houston Christians of the world to this Michigan defense. How does he handle that? And that will really tell us like how much Dylan Raiola and this offense have grown.
Who'd you rather have at quarterback, Raiola or Drew Aller?
For like the rest of the year,
Yeah.
I am not a you know very well my thoughts on Drew Aller. Drew Aller seems to be going the opposite direction. It's close. I might take Raiola, just because maybe. Oh man, I don't know. I hate Raiola though. When like you're bringing now my personal prejudice in there, I couldn't be around him every day. I'll take Aller.
It's close though. Like that's my thing.
It's
They're very
close.
similar quarterbacks. They have a lot of a lot of similarities in terms of like struggling to push the ball downfield and being a middleweight that likes to beat up on lightweights. But anytime they go up against the heavyweight, they struggle.
Yeah, that's not a bad comparison. In their pass game here, he's found a rhythm with Dane Key. Very excited to see that. Good
Think
on
he's
good
good.
with their receivers. And I don't know if it'll be Jair Hill or Zeke Berry. I still don't know who our number one corner is. It'll probably be a mixture of both is probably the answer, depending on what Wink is rolling out there. But that's good on good. I'm very excited to see that. And we'll finally know a little more about these corners. I'm still kind of like trying to grade these corners, and there's been some good moments, and then there's been some forgettable moments. So I think after this game, we'll have a better idea. Very excited for that matchup.
It's a big game for the secondary and more or less the back seven as a whole. Linebackers will get in this conversation as well about tightening up some zones in coverage because Nebraska, they will run the ball with Emmett Johnson, but they'll also get him involved in the passing game and they'll do some run control passing. And by that, I mean screens, quick passes that basically serve as the run game. So we'll do some little quick hitters, RPOs like that. And it's going to be up to our secondary to take those away, take away the easy throws, force Raiola to win. You might see Michigan run a little bit more man to man in this one and try to just confuse them at the line of scrimmage, jam them up, take away those free releases. But I think this is a big test for them. It's a good litmus test because it's a step in the right direction or step in just competition. It's not John Mateer, but it's that step in between. And I think this is one they need to pass if they're going to go on to compete for a spot in the playoff.
Yeah, I mean, this schedule for them sets up very nicely if they can find a way to get past Michigan. They've got some winnable games on their schedule. Avoid Ohio State. I think they do have Penn State later in the year, USC, but avoid Oregon. Yeah, avoid some of the really bad travel here. So they're thinking this could be the springboard for them. Bigger game, Michigan having one loss or Nebraska, just with where they're at program wise. Who's this a bigger game for?
Feels like Nebraska, just because they haven't been to the top of the mountain or even close to the top of the mountain in a long time. I mean, if they haven't won 9 wins since Pelini, So like just trying to get back to that mark, I think is like they need this one to do it. Otherwise, it's going to feel like, oh no, here we go again. We beat up on the easy opponents. We win 3 games, but then we go up against one of the blue bloods in the conference and we lose.
Yeah, but at the same time, Michigan losing this game, would you say if Michigan loses to Nebraska, we basically need to punt on the playoffs?
Probably so. Yeah, it's probably a 3-loss season. But again, you still feel better because you have Bryce Underwood. Like, and we won a national championship 2 years ago. Like,
Yeah,
you
we'd
have
get
that
past
momentum
it.
still. Yeah.
We'd get past it, but it wouldn't be great. It wouldn't be great.
Oh
These
no, I'm not
teams,
saying it would be fun, but it's a bigger game for Nebraska. I'm not welcoming this. It sounds like
please don't.
hell.
That does sound like my personal hell. I think I would just wade into a pond. Very interesting that neither of these teams really give up a lot of sacks. They're tied with 3 sacks allowed on the season. But then again, they haven't gone up against anyone like Oklahoma. I think Michigan is going to be able to get pressure, particularly with Jayshon Barham moving to edge full time and what that opens up. I'm really hoping Derek Moore is past whatever early season malaise was afflicting him and that he's able to get it going in this one, because the pass rush in this, I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball very well. They have the second leading rusher in the Big Ten with Emmett Johnson, who's been good, but a lot of it coming against just really, really inferior opponents. They struggled to run the ball against Cincinnati, and I think they will struggle to run it here. So it's going to be Dylan Raiola dropping back, and he's going to need to make a lot of third downs. He's going to need to make a lot of plays. How does this pass rush get at him? How can we confuse him? And I'm eager to see what Wink Martindale has drawn up for this, and I'm encouraged by what I've seen. I know Mateer carved us up, but there's a big gap between Raiola and Mateer.
I mean, there's several levels between the two, and it was like Mateer carved us up, but it was only 24 points. You know, it wasn't like it wasn't like 2018 Ohio State or anything like to that degree. So there's going to be an answer, but no, it comes back to the pass rush. It'll be about disrupting Raiola and his timing and just kind of keeping them on the back foot as well, because they'll run the football. They have a decent offensive line. It's not as good as they were anticipating in the offseason. They added Notre Dame transfer Rocco Spindler, but it's been solid. Against Cincinnati, though, they would struggle at times, and Raiola can run, but I wouldn't call him mobile by any means. Honestly, this is a weird thing to say out loud. Back to our Drew Aller comp, I think Drew Aller's a better runner. Like in the 2022 game, 23 game, Aller was giving us fits. Remember in that first half, 23 game, Aller was giving us fits in that first half running the football. You don't see that from Raiola. Like he can get out and like extend plays, but like I think the defense will do a great job, like keeping him at bay. And that's been one of Michigan's defense's weaknesses for the first couple of weeks is the quarterback run.
Absolutely. This isn't a game where you're going to need to dedicate a spy to Dylan Raiola. He would rather keep his head downfield and try and find a receiver coming open. But when you've got pressure coming from both sides, coming up the middle, and you don't know where it's coming from, corner blitzes, safety blitzes, I think he's going to take a lot of hits in this game. I think he's going to take quite a few hits in this game, and by the end, his head's going to be spinning a little bit. So fascinated to see the Wink Martindale versus Dana Holgorsen matchup there. I think that'll be great. While we're kind of talking coaches a little bit, how do you feel about Biff Poggi coaching? If say like we need to go on a drive to win this, how do you feel like situationally Biff Poggi? Obviously a big jump from Central Michigan to Nebraska with the coaching element there.
I think he's fine because he's just worrying about timeouts and flow. Like
really
Biff is he's out there doing what he does best. He's being the vibes guy and he's assessing vibes at all times. That's all he has to focus on. It's great because you have Lindsey in the booth, focus on the offense. You got Wink Martindale, focus on the defense. You got Biff hanging out. Hopefully he can cut the sleeves off. Let that man breathe out there.
Let him breathe.
Get some steaks on the grill if he needs to, but I think it's going to be fine. I love that he had the warm-up game to prepare for this. So like if there's anything he needs to do better, he can correct them here. But don't get it twisted. Matt Rhule is going to use this as like such motivation for his team. Like, oh, look at them. They don't need their coach to play us. Like you can just hear all that shit coming from their end. Like that's what they're going to focus on and try to use that as an advantage. But I think Poggi's going to do a great job of just getting this team focused, locked in, task-oriented, and move forward, not playing any of that.
Yeah, I listened to a couple podcasts and they're like, this is a big deal not having Sharon Moore there. Here's my hot take. It's not. I think it's a much bigger deal to have your coach there for like the preparation and the week of practice and stuff. On game day, like everyone's going to be locked in so much to doing their jobs. It's really just those few situational things. Like, are we going for it on this 4th and 1? Are we like, how are we managing the timeouts? Is this a field goal or is this a punt? Things like that. And he's been a head coach before. Obviously, his stay at Charlotte wasn't super successful. But I mean, anyone that's played freaking Madden extensively could probably go out there and do what Biff Poggi is going to be asked to do on Saturday. So I don't worry about it. I don't think it's that big of a deal. But I at least wanted to bring that up. And it is a bummer that like Sharon Moore isn't going to be out there because, I mean, he still needs time on task. Sharon Moore, I think, is still learning how to be a head coach at a very high level. So it would be great to have him out there. But I don't think it's going to play that big of a difference. I really don't.
And not to mention, he had enough time to put everything in place for them during the game. It's not like Poggi hasn't called him during the week again either. Like, just because Sharon Moore can't be in the facilities doesn't mean he's like isolated in a jail cell somewhere where nobody can reach him. Like, they can, they've been talking all week. I can guarantee you of that, and preparing and talking about situations and things like that, because although Sharon won't be there, his fingerprints are all over this.
Yeah, no, he's actually just in a padded room and they're tossing.
I know, it's like that's how it kind of feels. Right? He's locked out of the building. He's nowhere to be seen. It's like, guys, they're talking. I can assure you.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, but it is worth mentioning, worth bringing up. So, shall we take a break? When we come back, we'll flip sides of the ball. Anything else on the Nebraska offense versus the Michigan defense?
Nope, we're good.
All right, let's take a quick break for the podcast. We'll stay live for the video. Be back right after this. All right, we are back. We are righteous men. College football is very good. We are breaking down Michigan at Nebraska this Saturday in Lincoln. Just got through talking about Timu Mahomes versus the Michigan defense and what we think there. Time to switch sides of the ball in a huge, huge test for Bryce Underwood and this young emerging offense, still trying to get their feet under them, coming off a huge game with 8 rushing touchdowns against Central Michigan. Now the competition jumps right back up. You go into conference play, you go back on the road. This is a big game for Bryce Underwood and his development. It's not the be-all, end-all, but if he comes out there and plays well after Central Michigan and learns from some of the mistakes against Oklahoma, I think it's going to be extremely encouraging.
Yeah, and this is a fun, I don't say fun is the right word. This is the right team to really like take that next step, because Nebraska's defense, they play this hybrid 3-3-5, very reminiscent of TCU a few years ago, not to evoke any nightmares. But what they do is they'll bring that fourth guy on the line of scrimmage, and it's normally Deshaun McCullough, transfer from Oklahoma. They'll move him around on each side and use him as the fourth pass rusher and try to get to some push that way. But the defensive line is small. So they're going to move a bunch. I mean, they saw the Oklahoma tape. They're going to throw a ton of movement around. They're not just going to rush straight on. They're going to move McCullough around, and those linebackers are going to play downhill. So it's a fun test for Underwood to be able to see, like, okay, how do you recognize pressure now? Because they're going to move around a bunch just like Oklahoma. Has he progressed? Has he learned from those mistakes? And the same conversation can be had for the offensive line. Have they improved? How's the communication across the front to block movement?
Yeah, it's a great call out. It's almost an entirely different skill set going up against the 3-3-5. What they're going to be running, they're going to run some like bear fronts out there. See some people in the comments, Michael and Josh, mentioning that this is an undersized defensive line. Their biggest D lineman's like 270 to 280, so they're not going to line up against our big boys. I mean, Evan Link, Sprague. We're not quite at where we're going to be next year, where this is the largest offensive line in college football, but this is a very large offensive line. It'd be nice to have Al-Hadi to go power on them and just to be able to move them off their spot. But they're going to try and do it by being quicker, getting their pad levels lower. But this is a big test for them as well. They lost 2 of their defensive tackles that I was really high on, Hutmaker and oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the other guy. Do you remember that? Ty Robinson, who was also really good last year. So replacing those guys, having to get some new bodies in there. This is a big test for them. And going up against Justice Haynes, who's leading the Big Ten in rushing right now. Michigan clearly going to want to run the ball. Yeah, it's a fascinating matchup. I wanted to ask you this with this game, because I've gone back and forth on this with having Bryce Underwood coming off the Central Michigan game. Offensive philosophy for this game. Should it be run the ball a lot, bleed the air out of this ball, take the time of possession in Michigan's favor dramatically? Or should they open it up a little bit more and let Bryce Underwood take advantage of the fact that they're surely going to be coming downhill, surely going to be expecting the run? Or is it something in between, which would be a boring cop out of an answer, but I'll allow it.
It's a combination. Really? So
You.
the strength but listen, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to pick a side. So the strength of the Nebraska defense is the secondary. They like to mix coverages. They're going to run a ton of like man-to-man principles though. So with that factored in, if you have Bryce Underwood back there and you run 4 verticals against man-to-man, that's going to clear up the defense real fast. And that happened against Central Michigan. You're going to see it again here. So that's going to open up the quarterback run. But if I'm attacking this defense, I'm bringing 6 offensive linemen out there. I'm putting the 6 offensive linemen towards McCullough's side, who is 6'5", 235. Lean. And I'm pounding the piss out of the football. Like I am running on, you're taking that size advantage. You're making them fight you in a phone booth. You're running a lot of stuff like FSL formation into the sideline, to the short side of the field. And you're just going man on man with them. See if they can get big with you. And once you do that, that's going to open up the play action game for Bryce Underwood. And as much as this team plays downhill, again, it's very similar to TCU a couple years ago. You can't allow any run through linebackers. They're going to trigger right away. They're going to be fired up and aggressive because of the whole Sharon Moore's not here against us thing. It's a great game for misdirection, but quick. You don't want to get too cute and grab assy with it, like that reverse we saw with Andrew Marsh, or the screen and go we saw with Marsh that he wasn't looking against New Mexico that they haven't pulled out since that game. Great game against an aggressive man-to-man defense. And 3, brother, we haven't seen a flea flicker yet this season. Against
Ooh,
this kind of defense coming
sauce.
downhill, that's a way to do it and get your quarterback an easy throw. So a couple of things there, but to get there, pound the damn ball. Like they're small inside, make them stop that, make them adjust. And I don't know how this defense, the way it's laid out, will adjust to either 6 offensive linemen or 7 if you want to go mammoth and get used to it. Or do what WVU did this past weekend against Pitt and bring out 9 offensive linemen and pound the
Good
football at the
God.
goal line. It was awesome. It was beautiful to see. So to answer your question, run the football. Get back to your identity. Let Justice Haynes eat.
9 offensive linemen. That's like your Mona Lisa.
It is.
That's the most beautiful thing you could ever hope to see. Yeah, man, I tend to agree. I went back and forth on this, and I think Bryce with his legs will once again be a factor here. But I lean towards not only running the ball for everything you say to set up play action, as Titurian's mentioning here in the comments, but also keep the ball away from Raiola. He's by far their best chance to keep this a game and to score. If the fewer chances he has, if you can win time of possession by 6-7 minutes, that's a big boost for this Michigan offense. And I think just make it a little easier on Bryce Underwood. Make Bryce Underwood have to complete a couple third downs, but then your running game is mostly in control. I would love to say that the Zavada strategy is still a strategy that's on the table. I'm not convinced of that currently. So you're probably going to need to put the ball into the end zone a couple times. So it can't be the Penn State 32 straight rushes. It's going to need to be a little bit more balanced. But I tend to agree that running the ball should be the philosophy on Saturday.
And to your Raiola point, they're dinking and dunking right now. Like when I talked about Holgerson, it's like little 4 to 7 yard gains, primarily like in the middle of the field. So that's what they want to do. They're not really forcing the issue down the field, at least against Cincinnati and equal or close to equal competition. So if you can get him doing that, then Raiola's going to make some mistakes. He's going to just be forced into situations he doesn't want to be in. And there's some great points in the chat right now about the tight end usage. Having Marlon Klein and Hogan Hansen both going is massive. Having Zach Marshall's a fine player, but having him in against Oklahoma, you could see the deficiencies. Getting Klein back on the line for blocking and Hansen and what they can add to the passing game and to create those mismatches, especially against linebackers or safeties, and open things up in this offense, I think is going to be massive in this game.
Yeah, and Klein, still getting back to full health there, and I'm hoping that ankle is back to at least serviceable, and he can be more of a threat in the passing game this week. But absolutely, as a blocker, I expect him to be big. And then Hogan Hansen, agreed, he's our second best tight end right now, and then a bit of a gap. So it'll be great to have both of those guys out there. Really looking forward to that. In the passing game, they've obviously tried to make Samaj Morgan a big element to this game. I think you will certainly see the early swing pass, screen pass, bubble screen to Samaj Morgan. That's just become a staple. Get him into an early rhythm. You'll probably see that again. But down the field, this is the number 1 pass defense. I am air quoting and knocking on all types of wood. This is the number 1 pass defense in statistical yardage per game. But again, Houston Christian and Akron are just not real opponents. It's really just been Cincinnati, and that was Brendan Sorsby, who's also not that great. So It'll be fascinating to see if they look at that and they're like, okay, there's an opportunity there. A lot of it's going to be dependent on what they come out in. And if they're coming downhill and they're just blitzing the hell out of Bryce Underwood, like we anticipate, that is going to leave somebody opened on the back end. So what do you think about the passing game against their vaunted pass defense? I'm really talking out the side of my mouth here.
And I'm not going to say vaunted. It's like to that degree,
It's
but
fine.
It's good. It's good. Deshaun
Yeah.
Singleton coming back is really good. Rex Guthrie is a fellow safety. They co-lead the team in tackles, so they're both very aggressive, very capable players. And Malcolm Hartzog, who sounds like a bad European director, leads the team with 1 pick. He had 4
You be
last
careful
year,
about
so,
Werner Herzog.
so he can ball hawk. I'm just talking about Malcolm here, but they can do some things. But again, man, they're trusting them with a lot, because in that Cincinnati game, like at times felt like Sorsby was getting what he wanted. I was surprised they didn't pass it more in that game, but by the end I saw why they weren't. And there's some things to be had there, especially if you're getting the man-to-man. But this is a big test for our receivers this week, like, or just pass catchers in general. You got to win your one-on-ones. If you're like similar to like the defensive pass rush, you need to win your one-on-ones. Same thing with our wide receivers. Like, you need to be getting open. You saw the chemistry get a little bit better with McCulley. He needs to stay consistent. Goodwin starting to emerge. You know, Samaj Morgan's going to be force-fed in this one, but you want to see someone take over, have one of those big, consistent games. I know McCulley had some big stats against Oklahoma, but most of it came from that one reception. So a test for them, especially if they're going to get that man-to-man coverage and help their freshman quarterback out a little bit.
Make some plays when given opportunities. 1 or 2 big plays through the passing game might be sufficient in this one with how much we anticipate them running the ball. So to end on the running game, which I think will be the crux of the Michigan attack against Cincinnati. Cincinnati rushed for over 200 yards. It was 7 yards a carry. Like, that's clearly
with no threat of the pass.
Yeah, with no threat of the pass, this Michigan team's going to have a better passing attack, which should open up the running game there. So I'm very confused by some of the predictions score-wise of this game where they're saying that Nebraska's putting up 30 or 28 points. And I'm like, well, they didn't do that against Cincinnati. And are you saying that the Michigan defense is worse than the Cincinnati defense? Because if so, I call you a liar here and now, sir.
Yeah, I'm not getting some of that. I understand, like, Nebraska is improved, but you hit the nail on the head early in this, where it's like people want the narrative to be true and already written, kind of like the Arch Manning Heisman Trophy winning national championships. You wanted it to be true so bad, you put it in stone, and now we're seeing a first-time, full-time starter settle into things and go through a lot of growing pains. Same thing with Nebraska. Like, Nebraska's back, put it down. They're here. They're going to, Michigan, it's going to be a battle. They're going to put up 38 points or whatever. I just don't see it playing out like that.
What do you think is enough points on offense for Michigan to get it done? You think 24 gets it done?
Yeah.
I think so
I mean,
too.
in the right world, you say 20 is enough to get it done, depending on what kind of day we're having.
If we're having the day I think we could have with
Brother,
Parham moving
13
to edge.
was enough to put down the Supernova Ohio State and Columbus. So hell, like 10 might do it.
Yeah, 3 Zavada field goals. Let's call this a day.
Yeah, we'll be done. I do want to touch on Nebraska special teams real quick, because this is a side of the ball that's become just such a pain point for Michigan fans and listeners of our pod. We know it's not fun. Like, every time Michigan lines up for special teams, and Nebraska has really improved their side of the ball. Both punt returners are dynamic, averaging over 15 yards of punt return, so a first down and a half, which is great. Their kicker is perfect on the year, 19 of 19 extra points, 4 for 4 field goals. And their punter's numbers won't blow you away, but he is deadly accurate, and he's switch-footed. He can kick with the right or the left. His name's Archie
that's
Wilson.
A rarity.
We don't even have a specialist with a cool stat like that. It helps Wilson's decent. Even, I mean, if Hudson Hollenbeck can do that, like, you know what? He's got an alliterative name, and he can punt with both feet. That's cool.
Yeah, his name sounded so cool. I was like, oh, he's like an adventure that served with like Teddy Roosevelt's Rough Riders. And then I watched him punt, and I was just like, this guy's a nerd. Like, Hudson Hollenbeck is like a tax attorney from like Derbyshire in England, and I'm like, oh, I'm less into it now. So they definitely got us on special teams just by virtue of having a special teams unit. They're going to win that. By existing, they have a better special teams unit than us. Is this the game where we roll out the Indy and Jared special, the no special teams? We just like never punt, never field a punt, just let everything go over your head, no field goal attempts.
I'm fine with this strategy. Go for 2 every time. Like,
it's like we don't have a third unit of the game. Like we just
No,
don't have it.
we
There's
don't need
no
a punt
third phase
return.
of the
We're just
ball.
going to go either punt safe or punt block with all 11. We'll get it done that way. If there's a 4th and 7 at their 35, we're going to go for it. I feel like we've solved this. You can't lose the third side of the ball if you don't really play it.
If you don't play it, refuse to participate. Yeah, Hudson Hollenbeck's going to have to punt in this one, and that'll be probably disastrous. Worse so on the other side, where every time they punt the ball, we're all just like chattering our teeth and hoping for the best. Please just don't turn it over on special teams. Don't lose the game on special teams.
Yeah, that's I mean, we're getting the keys to the game. That was literally what I had for their key to the game was don't be the reason we lose. And honestly, at this point, if our special teams has like a huge play, like a punt block or like a return touchdown, I feel like we have to do like a power hour on the podcast or something. Like it'd have to be something extravagant because like we're so down on this unit right now. And the JB Brown virus that's spread throughout the unit.
If Samaj Morgan returns a punt in this game for a touchdown, I will change my middle name to James backwards, which is Samaj. I will. Fair. I don't care. Reasonable. I think it's completely fair. Any other thoughts that we haven't touched on here, brother? I know the big narrative we kind of mentioned at the top is this would be a massive, massive game for Nebraska. Losing for Michigan would almost certainly torpedo their playoff chances. So it's certainly big for Michigan, but I think you got it right there at the top. Like Michigan's been there before. We can still rally to have a good 9-3 season if we drop this. And then it's all about next year with Bryce Underwood and the returning talent we have. But that being said, I'm not ready to lose. I'm not ready for like this season to lose meaning already in week 4. I need this one. Personally, I think the Michigan faithful is ready for a great conference win on the road. I think we're ready to see Bryce Underwood get unleashed a little bit against the real defense. So any final thoughts from you before we make our predictions?
Let's get into keys to the game.
Let's do it, brother. Go ahead and lead us off.
I touched on it once. I'm going to touch on it again. I'm probably going to say it a third time. Run the damn ball. But it's not just that simple. It starts with communication across the offensive line, everybody being on the same page, to the tight ends, to the specialists. I was going to say specialists, skill players. That's the word. And to the quarterbacks being on the same page, no run through linebackers, use the aggression against this team. I think a stretch zone, a reverse, or Bryce is going to have a big play in this game. I mean, Justice Haynes has become the norm for him, but like, I just think there's going to be something big in this one. Again, stretch zone, a reverse, Bryce with a big run. I think something's going to hit probably 40 plus.
I'm into this. Yeah, Bryce going to use his legs. There's no point hiding it anymore. I think that will be a major, major factor. Evading some of those early rushes. They're going to be coming downhill early. Be prepared for that. Get the ball out quickly. Maybe an early screen. We've seen the wide receiver screen, but yeah, maybe like a screen to Jordan Marshall or Justice Haynes early on in this one when they're hyper aggressive. Maybe a shot early on when they're hyper aggressive. I think for the Michigan offense, you've got to win the line of scrimmage. You got to take advantage of the fact that you're just much bigger. I know some guys are out there, but if it means running 6 offensive linemen onto the field, go ahead and do it. Establish Justice Haynes, establish Jordan Marshall, and then start to work in. Set up the run to set up the pass, I think, a little bit more than set up the pass to set up the run, which Chip Lindsey is excellent at doing. But then again, you've got to be adaptable. And if they are really, really coming downhill and it's 8 in the box, you got to adapt to that, which we might see. I'm not sure that you can do that with Bryce Underwood like you could against Alex Orji, but we'll see what they decide to run back out there. So on offense, yeah, I'm with you. Establish the run. May as well be the mantra of this damn podcast. We believe in that around here. And I think against Nebraska, we're on the same page.
Second key, receivers win one-on-one, whether that be out in space or blocking on the perimeter. Like that killed the screen game against Oklahoma was those blocks just getting destroyed at the point of attack. Sustain those blocks. That's going to open up the box to help open up the run as well. So like one hand feeds the other in that regard. And the receivers can have their best game of the season, whether or not the statistics show it. But if they can hold those blocks, open up the perimeter, do some things to help Bryce over the middle of the field, I think it's really going to aid this team to victory.
It's a good call. 1 or 2 big plays, I think, in the passing game will do it. Also, I will say win the penalty battle. These are 2 fairly low penalized teams. They haven't been penalized a lot. They're both exactly even in penalties this season. Win the penalties game, win the turnover game. Bryce Underwood, he's got more interceptions in him this year. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this wouldn't be the game for it. Play a clean game. something like 150 yards passing and 1 touchdown is really all you need in this one. So maybe keep it simple, keep ball control in Michigan's favor. Don't turn the ball over. Don't be penalized, especially no big ones coming back like we had last week.
Don't take points off the board.
Yeah. Yep. I'm with you there. Anything else on offense, or you want to move to the defense?
Let's go to defense.
Let's go to the defense. I will start. We mentioned up at the top, I think that the pass rush is going to be key. Jayshawn Barham moving to edge full time. Derek Moore hopefully coming on. He was a little bit banged up early on in the season. TJ Guy just didn't play last week. I'm not sure if we'll see Nate Marshall in this one.
I have thoughts on that coming later.
Very good. Yeah, we got to find a way to get pressure in this. I think it can't just be Barham. If he's getting doubled up, that should allow Derek Moore to come free in this one, hit Raiola early and often. I think we're going to win the line of the scrimmage on this side of the ball. I think it'll be very difficult for them to run the ball, which means that it's going to be Raiola dropping back. And I think our best coverage is little time in the pocket. Not to say that we can't do some man-to-man coverage with Zeke Berry and Jair Hill in the back end, and hopefully Rod Moore out there, God willing. I thought I saw it in the chat. Someone said that would feed families, a Rod Moore interception. My God, we're definitely doing a power hour then.
I would love Rod not to start, but to rotate in. Like, again, we saw when he came back from injury early on in the 2023 season against Rutgers, gave up that big play in the middle of the field. If Rod plays, he's going to be rusty. So if you're going to work him in, do it slowly, keep him safe in this one. Just let him get his feet back underneath him and then have the bye week to rest up, prepare again, and get ready for Wisconsin. My first one for the defense is win the middle of the field. Here's a fun stat. 67% of Nebraska's passes are inside the numbers. They don't like to push it to the outside. So if you can win the middle of the field, clog up those lanes, especially with the linebackers, take away those layered throws, those levels concepts, work in conjunction with the safeties, that's going to really just stymie this attack and what they want to do offensively.
Great call. Good question from Josh in the chat. Is Barham moving to edge official or just the assumption? I'm assuming
I think it's a hybrid
that's
position.
Where we're headed. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of both, but he's going to be primarily rushing the quarterback, I would imagine. And just the effectiveness, you can't just look at what he's doing and think anything other than this guy needs to be rushing the quarterback often. Yeah. So I would imagine, it'll be hybrid, but he'll be primarily rushing the edge. Nothing official there. Great one from you. I will say third down, kind of tacking on to your point there. Their efficiency has been excellent so far this year. Their third down efficiency is 62% compared to Michigan's 44. So big discrepancy there. Again, a lot of that was against Oklahoma where we were just, let's say, ass. And that's putting it kindly on third downs. Not great against New Mexico either. So winning third downs in this one, it's going to require us both being improved on offense on third down and getting them off the field. This is no John Mateer. I think we'll be able to get them off the field on third down more often than not. But if they're going to win this game, big third down completions from Raiola, because I expect a lot of 3rd and 5s, 3rd and 6s, 3rd and 7s are going to be critical.
To go along with that point, don't let Raiola get into a rhythm. When he completes over 70% of his passes, Nebraska is 8-1. When he's under 70, Nebraska is 2-5. Batted balls, pressures, the existence of Jayshawn Barham, whatever it takes, keep Raiola uncomfortable, and this offense is going to unravel.
I love it. Cole Sullivan as well. I think he'll be on the field a lot more. Some great call outs there in the chat. Players of the game and predictions.
Oh, I got 2 more.
Oh, keep them coming.
I got 2 more. I said tighten up zones, limit clean releases off the line of scrimmage. And this last one I found was very interesting. They love to rush the ball to the outside and primarily to the left. For the season, between the tackles, Nebraska has 205 yards to the left A, B, and C gap. To the right, they only have 82. Take away what they want to do. Don't force them left, force them right. They don't want to play that direction for whatever reason. Maybe there's a deficiency in the guard tackle combination or the concepts they run, but force them into what they don't want to do. It's the old Bill Belichick mantra, before the nonsense. Force them into that. I think you're going to have a lot of success.
Pre-nonsense. That's a tremendous statistic by you. Well done. Yeah, force them away for it. So maybe you stack that side of the ball, go the other way towards our surest tacklers. Who is our surest tackler?
Well,
Houseman the run.
That's the fun thing you can do with Barham. Now that you have one elite pass rusher, they're going to slide protection to him. So if you're Wink Martindale, you can line Barham up at edge, drop him, bring a fourth guy from the other side who's going to come off the ball cleanly, you're still only bringing four. You have Barham now in coverage, or he's been the best linebacker in coverage all season, and you can mix and match. That's why having one dominant pass rusher is so valuable. And with a mad scientist like Wink Martindale, you can manipulate structure a lot easier. And you can do different things, bring different pressures and get home and really confuse the defense and keep them and confuse the offense and keep them on edge. So eventually they can't slide to Barham because of the threat of the drop. And then he can still get clean one-on-ones on the edge when he does rush.
I like that a lot. Yeah, great stuff by you. And yeah, push him towards Houseman. For as much as Houseman gets lost in coverage from time to time, he's outstanding against the run. So
Yes, he is.
I think that, yeah, so I think we're well suited to stop the run against Nebraska on Saturday. Any other takes you want to get off your chest, brother? You got some great stuff there. If I want to hear it. If you've got the work.
that does it for me. I'm ready for predictions and players of the game.
All right, let me go first this week here,
right,
as you've gone first the last couple times here. And I think between the two of us, we got it last week. You had Bryce Underwood on offense. I had Jayshon Barham on defense. So I think we're dialed in right now. And in this game, I think we've talked ad nauseum about what we think the keys to this are. I expect the run defense to be great. So once again, it's going to come down to rushing the passer. It feels a little boring to choose Jayshon Barham, but this is a huge Jayshon Barham game. So I'm going to go with him on defense. Like, he had 2 sacks against Central Michigan. I think, again, he essentially is our pass rush. Maybe I could get fun and go Derek Moore, but Derek Moore, I'm hoping he's struggling with something that he's working through, because he hasn't looked like the same as he did against like late season Derek Moore last year. So I'm going to go with Jayshon Barham again on defense until he proves me wrong. He's been the best player on defense, and I want to be right. On offense, I went Justice Haynes last week. It feels like it's going to be Justice Haynes again. But let me mix it up on offense. I'll go a little bit different on offense here. How about Marlon Klein? How about Marlon Klein getting back into it? Yeah, like, I think he'll be big as both a run blocker and could have a couple key receptions in this game through the air. So I'll go Marlon Klein and Jayshon Barham. And for predictions, I like Michigan in this one, brother. I like the way we lined up for all the reasons that we just laid out there. Michigan only a 2.5-point favorite. I like Michigan to cover. I like Michigan to win this one going away. I've got it 27-17 Michigan in a pretty thorough game where, yeah, towards the end, Michigan's just kind of bleeding the air out of the ball.
See it very similarly. Shocking. I'm going to go a little bit bigger on mine. Player of the game on offense, I'm going Jake Guaranaro-Sauce. I think it's going to be a big game for pounding the rock, and he was a run mover, run grader against Oklahoma for 1 rep, and then last week against Central Michigan. I think we're really going to see some good snaps from him in this game as he continues to progress and eventually become the center of the future. Defensively, a little surprise here. I'm going TJ Guy. I think TJ Guy got benched last week to send a message that if you want to play like 2021, 2022 TJ Guy, then you're going to get the playing time of that player, which is none. I think they were sending a message and challenging him. I don't buy the schematic BS. I believe they were challenging him to step up and be the player he showed last season when he was second on the team in sacks, the player in the ReliaQuest Bowl. Be that guy again. I think we're going to see a fire lit underneath him in this one. He's going to come out just playing his best game so far this year. So I think that's what it's going to be on defense. This game really reminds me of the feel to it of the Wisconsin game in 2021 when Michigan went on the road in Madison. And I think it could be a tight game early on, but I think Michigan's going to pull away and win 31-17. I initially had 31-13. That'll be in the Maize and Brew breakdown from all of our predictions. But as the week went on, I give them a little more respect. 31-17, though, Michigan pulls away late, wins by 2 touchdowns.
That's funny. When we were when we were recording, what was it, Monday, we both said 31-17, just to you and I, like when we were chatting, we're like, oh man, what, feeling the exact same way. But then, yeah, I did the same thing over the course of the week, gave them a little bit more credit. I still think I would be very surprised if they score more than 20 points in this game. I mean, they just got to 20 against Cincinnati. Unless they've dramatically improved, I don't see that happening against this Michigan defense. So I'm with you there, brother. We see this one very similarly. I might have to put a little action on this game because I really feel good about the way Michigan lines up here. Just can't turn the ball over, can't beat yourself. We should have the dogs to win this race outright.
That was a point I wanted to make too. I'm glad you said that. I think the only way Michigan truly loses this game, what I believe, is if they beat themselves. That's how I see it happening. Like, if they beat themselves, that's how Nebraska wins the game. I just don't think Nebraska is going to come out and kick our ass.
No, I don't see it. I don't think Nebraska's quite there yet. I know they're improving, but I'm not sure how much better this Nebraska team is overall than last year. I still see them being kind of a 7-8 win team, something like that. So this ain't the time for the big jump. This is the time for Michigan to get right and build some momentum going into a key run in their stretch. So excited, man. Super excited for this game. You know, it was a stress-free Saturday last week. Not going to be the case this week. I'm sure we'll be pacing. The group chat will be popping off. Yeah, absolutely. I will be going live immediately afterwards on Bleacher Report to talk about that with Michael Smeltzer. So hopefully discussing a win. And then, of course, we will be back with our Monday night, Tuesday morning podcast whenever you get it. And got some fun guests coming up too. Very excited. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, really excited
not
about.
Spoil it,
Yeah.
but back-to-back weeks of Monday guests. So stay tuned for that. Both kind of came together like out. I mean, no pun intended, out of the blue. Hey, there we are. Really excited, man. We have some great people to talk to in the next couple weeks.
I'm with you. Thanks to everyone that was hanging out in the chat. Andrew, Michael, Tony, Titirian, Kellen. Appreciate y'all. We'll probably keep doing this. Yeah. Yeah, it's a good chat. It was popping off. We'll keep doing these when we can. The live on Thursday, this podcast will go up on Spotify later this evening if you weren't able to catch all of it. So we appreciate you. Certainly, go check us out on YouTube. Check us out on our socials if you haven't already. Like, share, subscribe. We greatly appreciate it. That's going to do it for us on this one. Jared, that's Andy. This is Out of the Blue. We'd like to remind you that wherever you go, go blue.